This video is going to be a little bit different, and I really think it's going to be hugely useful for a lot of you. And it has to do with using like multiple tools, multiple arrangements of tools to get different things done that you might take for granted and better ways to do them. If we take the saturation and maximize it, that linear saturation is not doing us any favors. And of course, we brought out a lot of noise. But what if you want an entire boost of saturation in a smarter way? And I know it looks kind of odd, but that is the chroma information of this image, right? Showing you where the color lies. You notice that neutral gray is where there's very neutral colors. No color shifting because we're only increasing the contrast of the luminosity or the luma information. When we put it on color blend mode, we are targeting only the chroma information. You can keep doing as much control as you want. Here's another levels on top, and we're going to change our output levels to compress it a little bit. So now I have a compressor on top effectively, and if I add more contrast, it's still not going past certain points because these output levels have been fixed. We can keep exploring. This is a gradient map of black and white, and we already have a black and white conversion. But we want to shape the luminosity. Let me explain. We can already get a look by moving the black swatch over and we deepen it. You can put again a levels. You can play around with that. You can change the output, soften up those shadows. Black and white adjustment layer, we make some small changes. Cool. On top of that, we add a gradient map to reshape our luminosity. In fact, I want the sharpening to be a little stronger. The shadows get nice and sharp. While I'm here, I will mention that you can try the other blend modes like vivid light, a little stronger, linear light, even stronger. Slowly closer to the highlights, they get softer and softer without applying sharpening there. You play around with them until you get something that you like. We can take it one level up. But what's cool is I can double click the high pass and I can change it. So let's, how about a 4? And I can really dial in the exact sharpness that I want. When you're working on top of it and you're adding like contrast or something like that, let's just add a little bit of contrast here. You're adding some contrast, change that blend mode to luminosity like we've been talking about. Sometimes when you're doing this kind of thing and you're adding color grading on top of your sharpened area, but here you can visualize the mask up front. See, this kind of like, oh, it's so obvious it's in front of you, but you didn't think about it. These are normal things. I didn't think about this for years until a few years ago when I realized, oh, you can select the luminosity. But when you want to make a complicated mask based on luminosity, a luminosity mask, this is really one of the best ways. I want red sort of on the shadows, right? Cool. If I brighten, the red changes range. If I darken underneath that red, the red changes range because that is an active thing. As you're going about your edit, you can get unpredictable or unfortunate changes to the red range because of that. Let's create our gradient map. We want the shadows, right? So we say we want the red roughly in there, or I want to sort of, compensate for that. I want to brighten the right side, darken the left. And now I have black and white. I'm looking at this like darkening and brightening. Well, I like to start with soft light. Soft light sort of like preserves some of the contrast, if you will. And then when I go back in, I can position this right on her face, and now we can move it. We can even just position it sort of anywhere, starting with maybe with his face. Cool. All right. Let's try like a 20%. It brightens his face and darkens everything else. You can put it on like overlay, and then you can come in here and you can adjust that glow. Normal shot, brighter sun, more focus on the sun. And you can probably guess, we can move this little ball over. You can take an old school sort of darkroom technique or in-camera technique of graduated filters and